Welcome to the Uncle Ali podcast with me, your Uncle Ali, and I'm here again with Cousin Wes. How are we, Cousin Wes?
Yeah, I'm alright. It's a Tuesday and I'm alive, so...
Well, people don't need to know it's a Tuesday. This is live. So today we're going to talk about big dick, big ball moves, Wes.
Okay, I'm curious.
See,
I think we lost half our audience.
Half the audience is lost now.
Is this not for ladies?
Every female has just clicked off the podcast. Everyone can have big dick energy, even if you're female. Wes, that big dick energy goes everywhere. And today we're going to talk about achieving some goals that are 10x. Okay, we want the goals right now that you can't walk through a doorway. Your balls are that big. That's how big your balls are. That's how much of a ballsy move you're making. That you struggle to walk through a doorway because your legs need to be that wide and you have to go sideways. Does that make sense, Wes? Do you know what I'm saying here?
Sounds like something I don't want in life. It sounds painful.
So here's the thing. A lot of people go through life and they don't achieve what they want to achieve. And a lot of the time it's because they're not even high enough. And there's a multitude of reasons for that. I mean, listen, we both know from our childhoods, we've spoke about it, like you kind of get put down a little bit, don't you? Like you can't achieve this, you can't achieve that. That's not possible. I mean, growing up, I was constantly reinforced of the fact that, you know, I had family members who never achieved their goals, never went to achieve their goals. So therefore, I shouldn't achieve mine. And that kind of gets ingrained in it. Do you know what I mean by that? I'm sure you can relate. I'm sure the audience can relate as well. And I kind of want to dive into this a little bit more. And there's a couple of things I want to go through. And hopefully, if you're listening to this, it kind of gives you that little bit of spur of motivation to get up and try and achieve your goal. Because I've openly spoke about this. If you try and aim for a massive goal and you feel you're always going to be better off, no matter what, the problem lies because people just don't take action. They're scared, Wes. Would you agree?
Yeah, I don't know even if it goes... I think being all the way as far as afraid is probably even too far. Sometimes it's almost a comfort zone of staying within your community. I had a conversation with someone today and they were... the conversation was about everyone around them is saying there's no point in going to university because those people currently can't get jobs. So does that mean they don't go at all as well themselves, you know? Yeah. And they were reading those signals as it was. I think when you get those signals around you, it reinforces the part of yourself that's already nervous or wants to stay put or wants to... Yep. You know, and I don't know if there's a fear around that or almost a lack of forward momentum in terms of, okay, I'll stay here with you guys. Let's all be miserable.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite common. Jordan Peterson spoke about this, and I'm just reiterating what he's kind of said. It's kind of like crabs in a bucket. Have you heard that before? I'm sure the audience has. Listen, if you have crabs in a bucket, you have a load of crabs in a bucket, and one crab tries to leave, the other crabs bring it back down. They don't let that crab leave. And that repeats the process. And that's the same in society. When someone goes out of the comfort zone of their norm, of their environment, of their peer group, everyone tries bringing them down. How many times, and I'm sure you can relate to this, when losing weight and you're on a diet, everyone tries getting you to break your diet. I'm on a diet. Oh no, have a biscuit. Oh, it's only one biscuit. No, I told you I'm on a diet. You can't. No, have a biscuit. Fuck off. And I've had loads of clients, everyone tries doing that when you go on a diet. They try getting you to break it because they can't stick to their diet. So you shouldn't be able to stick to yours. But it's the same with goals, like what you spoke about uni. Like, oh, I can't get jobs, so why can't you? So you're telling me that no one who has a uni degree has a good job? Bullshit. You're talking shit. It's just a generalized thing someone's decided to say to make them seem normal, to make them seem a little bit better. So I'm going to dive into it a little bit quickly, Wes. And the first step, I think, with achieving any sort of goal is aiming for something that seems unachievable, but it's not unrealistic. And this is like the main part of it because, listen, if you've had one amateur MMA fight and you want to be a UFC champion in a year, that's too far, isn't it? Let's be honest. That's a little bit too far. However, if you're an amateur MMA fighter and you think, oh, I'd love to be an amateur champion by the end of the year, that's achievable. But it's a little bit out of reach right now. Does that make sense? So it almost seems too far. but it is achievable. It's just a little bit of a stretch goal. And that's the main thing. So if you're an audience member right now and you're someone listening to the podcast on YouTube or Spotify, right now, just think to yourself, like, what is a stretch goal you can actually go for right now? And by the way, even if you're not an MMA fighter, you're just an average person, it could be an income goal. Maybe you want to earn a little bit more money, start a side hustle. Because I feel like society now kind of gets people put into this box. And when we stop trying to achieve more out of our life, that's where we become stagnant, depressed, anxious, unhappy with our lives because we're doing fuck all. Does that make sense, Wes?
Yeah, and I think a lot of the problems that people might have with something like this, because I do as well, obviously, and you probably do too, being fair, is... And I think this is going to come up a lot as we have these discussions, is people who don't know what to do next. And they find it, if I'm sitting here and I don't know what my purpose is, I don't know, have a thing, I don't have a UFC thing to hang along like you do. I'm not interested in running a marathon next year. I don't see myself, and I'm working in Tesco's or McDonald's, I don't see that as a career. I think it's always going to go back to taking the first steps in any direction or setting goals, no matter how big you're encouraging us to do this week, it still needs a position to look out from, if that makes sense. And I think that's the hardest part. Like, so, you know, like where do you start? If I have this massive goal, you know, if I'm a couch potato, is it unreasonable to think of a marathon next summer? Is it, you know?
I think the problem lies with that. Listen, and I said this in the last podcast, actually. If you don't have a goal career-wise, chances are you don't have one physically either. I'll just be honest. Most people have that link. Most people who don't have a career goal also don't have a physical goal. They're kind of just stuck in a rut. I would call that a rut, and just a place where you're not moving forward in any direction. So if you find yourself moving in no direction, your personal development is where you need to work on. Honestly, because if you work on your personal development, everything kind of falls into place. Like once you have the personal development sorted and you're working on your body, you're working on your mindset, and you're working on your health and fitness, you then discover like, oh, I actually have a passion for fitness. Or maybe you go, oh, fuck, I actually like creating content for my fitness. Or, you know what, I want to make more money so I can be able to afford the gym a little bit more. And so maybe I'll do sales or marketing. So I think things kind of fall into place. So if someone is in that position, I would say, listen, your number one stretch goal is get in amazing shape and just be an absolute tank. Or if you're female, be an absolute, I don't know, what would you call a female that looks in good shape?
Happy, healthy.
Healthy, yeah.
Same as ourselves.
Fit as fuck.
I don't want to be a tank, by the way. I do not want to, I don't aspire to your shape at all, but I do know I felt better when I was trimmer last year, when we hit that yoke.
Absolutely.
And you hit on something really important, I think, and it went back to the self-care thing, because part of my wobble after it was I externalized what I was getting fit for. And that comes down to, and it's going to sound cheesy, but it is down to loving yourself and you being the person that you're doing it for. Because part of what I had to admit to myself is that part of my transformation was with a half of an idea of getting with somebody or getting back with somebody. And when that didn't happen, I was like, a little trigger went off inside me going, well, what was all that for then? So back on the booze, back on the junk food, back on the...
Well, to address that, first of all, in this first step, if someone is in a similar position to yourself, Wes, and this is also to you, my goal of life is to someday die. Obviously, I'm going to die, okay? And I believe there is a God. I don't constrain myself to one particular religion. I just believe there's a God in the universe. And someday I'm going to have a conversation with that person or the universe or whatever that entity is. And they are going to show me my maximum potential. They're going to open a book and they're going to go, Ali, this is who you could have been. And they're going to then open another book and show this is where you were. And there's going to be a massive gap if I don't do what I'm meant to do. And I do not want there being a gap. I want there to be minimal gap in between. I want them to look at me and go, you know what? You did really well with what I gave you. I gave you all these challenges. Like, I gave you the obstacles and you pushed through them. Like, they were designed to make you stronger. Like, the purpose of them were to make you a better person. They weren't made to break you down. Like, you achieved what I set out for you. And I think a lot of people forget that when they're going on their journey and they're trying to achieve stuff, that the challenges you face are for you. And you want to maximize your potential. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want to die the best version of you?
So let's say I'm one of the lucky people who know in my core what I'm supposed to be doing, right? But I'm only finally getting into a position where I'm making steps towards that, and it is a storyteller. Okay. So what's going back to your phrase, what's my big ball move and what's my big ball goal there?
Let's go. Okay, so the first step in any goal, in my opinion, the first step is skill acquisition. You can be as motivated as possible. If you have no skill, it is fucking pointless. So skill acquisition, bless you. Skill acquisition is the most important part. Okay. Now, that requires maximal effort. So you're going to have to research the mentors, watch YouTube, be fucking obsessed with it. I know no other way personally on how to achieve a goal. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate, especially in the MMA world, but even sales, marketing, even if you're, a female just doing weights. I mention that because I don't have a lot of female followers. So if you are listening, thank you for watching.
How are you married?
I am single, so hey, I need all the female followers I can get.
Shameless plug.
Yeah.
So my big balls move then would be to say publish a book by next year or something. So that's because I want to write. That's what I want to do.
How the fuck do you get really good at writing, Wes?
Just do it all the time.
There you go. Every fucking day you need to write and practice it, but also research it. Research the mentors. Is there a mentor you can get in contact with to help you? Is there a coach that can help you? What books on writing can you read on how to learn how to write better? Because it's pointless just fucking randomly doing shit wrong. Anyone can do that shit, okay? So we want to actually get really fucking solid on what is the process of doing it. Now, the next step then after that.
Okay, process is the important word, isn't it?
Process. That's
strategy.
That's
process.
The next step, okay? So, okay, we understand the skill aspect of it. That's great, but it's fucking pointless if we're not doing enough volume. Okay, the next step, and people always talk about quality over quantity, okay, and you see that with videos. And a good example of, it's like we both have the same quality video, but I post 3 times as much as you. I'm gonna smash you to pieces on social media. It's about volume as well. So quality is really, really important, and being skillful in what you do is important. However, if you don't have the quantity, it is fucking pointless, especially nowadays where it's a competitive space. So we need to get the quantity in there. And in regards to writing a book, it's about putting more hours in than anyone else. How many hours are you putting in that book? How many hours are you writing? How many hours are you studying it? And about putting the hours. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah, it does.
And that's where people fall, because that comes in the next step. And the next step is motivation. And that's a fucking word people hate. People hate the word motivation nowadays. Discipline is the way forward. Discipline's next. Motivation is the first step of that. It is the rocket fuel that gets you off the fucking ground. People always say, oh, motivation comes and goes, and you have to keep it up every day. You have to watch motivational videos every day, and that's pointless. We have to fucking wash your teeth every day and shower every day as well. Do you not want to do that? What's your point? Yeah, obviously you have to do it every day. Obviously you have to find that motivation every day. There's nothing fucking wrong with that. Initially, anyway. So that motivation to actually do them, 1,000 words, 3,000 words every day, that's fine. That might be what it takes for the first month, for the first 2 months, for the first 6 months. It might just take motivation, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. That's fine. Anyone watching that, you start in the gym and you don't want to fucking do it. It just takes motivation, and you have to listen to fucking, Tony Robbins every day just to get off your ass. Fucking brilliant. Who gives a shit? No one needs to know you need to watch 3 hours of Tony Robbins to do an hour workout. Who gives a shit? You did it. Good for you. Well done. So motivation is the next step. But then after that gets built into discipline. That's when we build the habits and it becomes a natural part of your routine. And listen, the key with this, Wes, is making it accessible daily. It means like you have space put aside for that. So if I have my kit bag out ready to go to the gym, it's easy for me. It's automated. That habit's ready to be put in place. If I have my notebook and pen ready to write every morning and I set my alarm 2 hours before I need to go to work, easy peasy. I'm going to write. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So obviously then, listen, that's fine. We've got that in place. We're working on our skill. We've got the motivation to keep it up. We're working towards a goal. Now's the part where people don't want to fucking hear. It's going to be a long fucking time before you get any fucking results. And you're going to eat shit for a long time. And that is the reality. Listen, I lived in the back of a gym for 10 years. That's my story. I didn't achieve very much in them 10 years. Did a little bit. One here and there. Got my black belt. Fantastic. Fucking I had a lot of shit for a lot of years just to achieve fuck all. And then when I retired, I started achieving a little bit more in my life. You've got to eat shit. Everyone needs to eat that shit. And you're going to eat it too. You're not special. You're not a little special snowflake. You're not talented. Well, you might be, but assume you're not. Assume you have to put 10 years in for no fucking work. And someday, it's going to pop. Yeah.
So for me, that's going to be, I don't know, submitting short stories and get rejected, submitting book chapters, getting rejected, left, right, and center until eventually you just, you
smash it. Yeah, you get so fucking good. Undeniable. There's a great quote by Chris Hoyer, who's a BJJ black belt, one of the Dirty Dozen original BJJ black belts from America. And it's not who's best, it's who's left. It's not who's best, it's who's left. It does not fucking matter who the fuck you are. It doesn't matter how talented you are, because most people are going to quit. Are you going to quit? If you don't quit, you're going to be better than 99% of people. Having that long-term vision and saying, listen, I don't give a fuck how long I get rejected. I'm going to push it. Listen, my social media page, I built it to 61,000 from 5,000 people because I posted 3 times as much as anyone else every day. I didn't sell a thing, and I just thought, you know what? I'm going to be in people's faces that fucking much. I'm going to post that much content that's quality that people need to follow me, because I'm going to be on their feed anyway. I'm going to be on the Explore page every single day, so they have to follow me, because if they don't, they're going to see me anyway. I put more work in. And it's the same with your goal. I'm going to fight that much. I'm going to train that hard that it doesn't fucking matter how many times I may, do bad in training, perform badly. I'm going to do it that long. I'm going to be so much better than everyone because I put so much more work in. Does that make sense? And it's that long-term versus short-term gratification. And we're in a society now where everyone wants a short-term goal. Everyone wants the short-term reward straight off the bat. Whereas the reality is, when you shift your perspective, I think Alex Hormozy spoke about this, from like, what can you achieve in a year to what you can achieve in 10 years. When you shift that perspective, you have that long-term vision. You're process orientated. You need to do a podcast this week because that's your long-term goal. Not because you want a result straight away. Who gives a fuck? Forget the result, I get the result. It's just because that's what I fucking do now. And in the case of writing, it's about writing 3,000 words a day because that's what you do. Does that make sense?
And this is where motivation then. So motivation will get me kickstarted. I really want to do this thing. It's inside me. I've always wanted to be it. That's the motivation. But then there's going to be days where I'm not particularly arsed going and getting up at 5 a.m. again and standing there again with a coffee again. It's raining or it's sunny or something's, and that's where the discipline comes. That's where the discipline comes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And it's also about, you've got to have your own triggers in your head. And my trigger in my head is having as I said, having that conversation with God and thinking, what if I have that conversation and he turns around to me and says, oh, remember that day you didn't put the work in? Maybe you could have done it. And it's also, maybe you can also trigger that, like, listen, going through a breakup, as harsh as it is, like, that glow up, looking better. It could be someone criticizing you when you were a kid, or someone calling you fat when you were a kid and using that as motivation to go, okay, I'm going to show you. That makes sense? Like that fuck you energy, like that comes in the next step. Like some people get motivated from positive energy. Some people love positive energy, Wes, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to achieve so much, I'm going to be so
Tell
good.
me I'm good, tell me I'm brilliant. Pour love on me and I'll keep doing it for you.
Give me that love. That doesn't motivate me, Wes.
Yeah.
You know what motivates me? Fuck you energy. Watch me.
That's not surprising.
And people can talk about, listen, if I'm running the way towards a line, I'm going to run a lot fucking faster if I'm going to fucking die than if I'm just casually just running for a bit of fun. Oh, I enjoy running. Or if I fucking run from a line, like, I need a fucking run or I'm going to fucking die. It's that fuck you energy. It's like, fuck, do or die. And that's the type of energy you need with any sort of goal, in my opinion. It's like, fuck you, watch me. And that's what you need. And if you don't have that, find it from deep within. Fucking close your eyes and create a story in your head. Create the own movie in your head. Joe Rogan spoke about this. Create the movie in your head where you wake up in the morning, you're depressed, you have one bullet in a gun, you pull the revolver, you click it, and you play Russian roulette with your face, and it doesn't go off. And then you drink a bottle of whiskey because your life's a piece of shit disaster because you've hit rock bottom. And then suddenly you just click, and this is a movie in your life where you turn it fucking around. And it's your opportunity to show everyone what fucking watch me. Watch me in 10 fucking years. I'm going to show you. And that's the energy you need. Now, here's the thing with that. It's fine me all saying that, but the next step's really important. There's going to be obstacles. And people forget that. People see an obstacle in the road and they go, fuck me, that's not the direction I need to go in. I'll turn around and head the other direction again. Everyone does that. I need you to understand, if you're watching this podcast, if there is an obstacle in the fucking road, that means that's the direction you need to go in most of the time. Because otherwise, why the fuck would there be an obstacle in the road? The devil doesn't put obstacles in the road because he doesn't want you going down that road. If it was fucking easy, if the devil wants you going down that easy path. He doesn't want you going down the busy road of the obstacles. The reason why the obstacles are in the road is to stop you from going down that, because that's where your potential lies. That's where the lessons are learnt. And though you may be deterred from it, and I'm not saying it's going to be easy, and it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of strong mindset and willpower, work ethic, sacrifice. But if you can get through that and you can see that obstacle in the road is the right place to go down, and you really want it, and you've got that fuck you energy, the motivation, the discipline, and you can see the vision of the future, then you can achieve whatever you want. And listen, I'm not saying you're going to achieve the original goal you set out. I'm not going to bullshit you. I'm going to sit here and say, listen, you can be a UFC world champion if you want. Because the chances are you maybe can't. But what I am saying is, when you head down that road where the obstacles are, where it's hard, you're going to end up in a lot better position than where you would have been than if you stay right where you are in your bed, smoking weed, drinking alcohol, wasting your fucking life away. And that is the truth. And I said this in the last podcast, you never feel backwards. You never take a big dick, big ball move and end up worse than where you started. Never. It's never happened. Never in the face of humanity has anyone taken a big dick move and failed backwards. Does that make sense, Wes?
It does, and I think one of the strange things to kind of unpack is that the barriers and the boundaries are not always big things that you can notice straight away. And one of the things that I often struggle with is trying to get my positive mindset and thinking into the right moment. So, and here's an example. So I'll be thinking to myself, right, I'm going to eat well. I'm going to eat fruit. I'm going to eat chicken. I'm going to eat veg. I'm going to do all that stuff. Problem is, I'm thinking that when I'm having a shower. When I'm hungry and standing in the queue, I'll grab any quick thing in front of me. I'll grab the sandwich, the crisps, and the Coke and the thing because it's a meal deal and blah, blah, blah. But then after I've eaten all that, then that brain shows up that goes, oh, I'm going to eat healthy, I'm going to eat. So it's trying to get that positive mindset to match the moment that I need it.
In my opinion, if I were coaching you right now, my mindset in that would be, you didn't fucking meal prep, you didn't plan ahead. So I think the goal with this is when you set that big goal, you need to plan ahead. Worst case scenario, call it negative visualization. The Stoic philosophers used to speak about this. Worst case scenario, what could happen? Okay, so you want to lose weight. Fantastic. Okay. Do you have all your food for that day? No. Okay, well, then you can't leave that to risk of going to the shop and buying some shit because you know there's a good potential. But if you have it prepped and ready, then you've got no excuse. And listen, you still fuck up and cheat in your diet? Yes, and you know what? You probably should. Whenever I'm teaching anyone to transform the body, it's small steps in the right direction. So you don't need to change everything completely right away, especially when you're trying to achieve a big fucking goal. But what's the one thing you can do today to move the needle forward? I've spoke about this before on a reel. What's the one thing you can do today that you'll make yourself proud in 24 hours? Now, if you're able to do that every single day and it's aligned with your goal, you can achieve big things. And it might be just meal prepping. It might be, okay, every Wednesday I go into McDonald's and buy a burger. So you know what? This Wednesday I'm going to go in. I'm just going to get Diet Coke. That's a fucking massive win, that was. Like, if most people thought that way and changed one thing every day towards achieving their goal, their lives would be completely transformed. Does that make sense?
So is the thing you're talking about then, like, have these massive goals? So to me, to publish a book, for example, in a year seems like a big bloody, thing to stick a flag into.
Yep.
But at the moment, even if I just speak to one person today that could help, or if I do one thing today in terms of learning how many words are in a short story versus a novel or something, so as long as those, at least something every day is making me touch base with that goal daily, then it doesn't. So big goal thinking doesn't mean big massive things every day.
Doesn't mean taking a big fucking dick move right away. No,
daily.
Like, obviously it's a big dick move, big dick energy, but do you know what I mean? Small dick movements. Do you know what I mean? Like you want to be moving in like a positive direction every day. It doesn't matter what the fuck your move is. Listen, if you're moving in any sort of positive direction forward, your life's going to get better, and it's going to take momentum. It's like a domino effect, isn't it, when you're achieving a goal? So let's use weight loss as an example. Okay, you just start tracking your calories. It's very easy to do. You don't have to change anything. You just track what you're eating so you know what you're sticking in your body. Automatically, you're going to eat less because you see what you're eating now. You see what you're putting in your body and you go, fuck me, I need to cut down what I'm eating. So you automatically stop eating as much. You see, that's a small fucking move. I've only tracked my calories. I'm only putting stuff into my phone. That's literally it, but it's made a massive change. And we're looking for that. I call it's the Pareto principle. We want the Pareto principle of doing the 20% that gets 80% results. So what's that? What can you do today that's going to move you in a positive direction? And it might be the case of sitting down and writing one paragraph of a book. Fantastic. That's the momentum you need. That's all you need, because it's about the process forward. Wes Watson, someone I will watch quite a lot, and some people call him a scammer and a bullshitter, but he has a lot of good knowledge. And one thing he says is, who, not how. Who do you need to be to achieve your goal, not how do you achieve it? And that, for like writing a book, is I'm the type of person that writes every day. And it might be only one paragraph. It might be one fucking sentence. But if you do that every day, I can tell you right now, that's going to have a domino effect. And eventually, in 6 months' time, you'll be writing 3,000 words. Because you know what? I'm fucking sitting here anyway. It's a habit. I might as well just fucking do the 3,000 words now. That makes sense?
Yeah. And is there... So... Well, take me through the steps again. So we set a goal, then we...
So set a goal, and then skill acquisition.
Yeah.
We need to have the skill for it. Now we need the quantity of that, so we need to fucking double down on the amount we do of it.
So is that the discipline part? We skip motivation. Is motivation kind of across
motivation
all of these?
Motivation is next. So the motivation is getting up and fucking doing it.
Okay.
So like, obviously, listen, we start that or we have the skill, we have a little bit of quantity, but that's going to die. So we need that motivation to go along with that. That's kind of coinciding with skill and quantity. That comes alongside it. Then the discipline comes in after that, okay, because we've built it up long enough with the motivation. Once we have motivation for long enough, that develops into discipline and the hard days, and that's where you need the triggers, like I was saying, like, you know, having a chat with God, or like the fuck you energy. That makes sense.
And then is discipline it, or is that...
Discipline's next.
Is that the last
discipline?
thing?
No. So after discipline, then as far as I can remember, I'm losing my mind here because I don't have notes. But the next step then is obviously then understanding there will be obstacles.
Yeah.
And you have to. The reason why I mention that, by the way, and the reason why it's part of the process of achieving your goals, because people discount it and assume there's not going to be. If you expect there to be obstacles, you can overcome them. If I know there's going to be an obstacle there, I'm like, I was expecting you. I knew you'd show up. So now you're prepared to overcome it. Now you've got the mindset of, okay, I know how to overcome it. Like if I was fighting an opponent, right, and I know he's really good at throwing a back left hand, I know I'm going to have to avoid that back left hand. Whereas if I go into a fight and I'm like, fuck his back left hand, I'm better chance of me getting knocked out, isn't there? And so we need to be prepared for them obstacles. Make sense?
It does, and I think there's something worth mentioning as we wrap up about, and I'm even thinking about that person I spoke to earlier in their situation. And actually, I left a small town as well to get out and do something with myself, anything really. There's a lot of people on that easy road, and you're stepping off it up into the rocks and the briars and the bushes. You know, you're going a different way.
Yeah.
Like everyone in front of you is going up that pathway that 1,000 people have trekked before, but you're deciding, no, you know what? I think I want to see what's beyond that bush. And I think there's a certain loneliness that goes with that. I mean, I know talking and what's happened. It's a conversation I've had myself since I was in Dublin the weekend. I know I'm going to have to give up a few weekends away and a few gigs and things I had planned to Berlin and stuff to actually stay home and write and do stuff rather than that thing. And I can feel the separation anxiety inside myself to not see the lads, to miss that gig.
Yep.
But also it's equal now to pull to stay home and try and write and try and do something, you know. Yeah.
And that is hard. I think that is the hero's journey, isn't it? That's like if you had like a story or a movie, like that would be the part where the Rocky montage would come in. Do you know what I mean? Where he's like in the Russian mountains training by himself, putting the work in, and that's how the fight is won. But it's also how the goal is achieved. And having that in the forefront of your mind could be a powerful tool. Like, okay, listen, I have that separation anxiety. I really want to go out, but you know what? Oh, this means I'm on track. Like, you can use that as a positive as well. Makes sense. How long have we gone for here, Wes? That's been a long podcast.
I think that's it. That's your...
Yeah, listen, boys and girls, if you have listened to this podcast and you found benefit from it, do me a big favour. If you're on Spotify, give it 5 stars, because then we can have a big swinging dick move in it, like just push the podcast and get ads. I probably won't ever use ads. If you're on YouTube, give me a subscribe, because I just want that clout, don't I, Wes? Just want that clout. And if you have any questions, please post them below or let me know. Contact me on social media, Ali McLean X, or YouTube. Wes, anything to add?
Be kind to yourself.
Be your own best friend. I had a psychologist. I've seen psychologists before. Believe it or not, I'm a fucking nutcase. I have actually seen a psychologist, and he told me, Ali, you need to be your own best friend. I was the worst person. Just to end with this little note, I was the worst in the world for hating myself. I couldn't look in the mirror. I couldn't stand the look of my own face. I hated myself. I was brought up to not like myself in the slightest. And a psychologist told me you need to learn to be your own best friend, and it is a long journey. So if you are struggling with achieving your goals and you have self-doubt and self-sabotage yourself and you don't like yourself, understand anytime you find that negative voice going in your head, remind yourself, how would you treat yourself if you were your own best friend? See you later.